Buffalo Bills squish the fish and claim the number 2 seed in the AFC, along with their 4th straight AFC East division title. And the Sabres' win streak was short-lived, to say the least. All of this and more on this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Callie. As always, I'm joined by Dom Loss. And Dom, we didn't know where we were going to be this week. Could have been out of the playoffs. Could have been the 6th seed, 7th seed, and we're the 2 seed going into Super Wildcard Weekend, taking on the Steelers. We'll talk more about that later in the week. We're gonna, I guess, squish the fish a little more. What do you think? We just kind of step on the South Park episode, you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, never mind. We can't show that clip, though. Producer knows what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, you get it.
Something would tell me with the word South Park in the sentence, it would not be appropriate for the audience.
Not appropriate for our audience, no. So, if you're inclined and you're interested, go check it out. I mean, I'm not going to condone it, deny that it's very inappropriate. Anyway, we're going to move on from that. Bills take the Dolphins down 21-14. In a microcosm of the Bills season, to say the least. I think we're going to talk a lot about that today. The ups, the downs, the roller coaster. It's something else. But before we get into the highlights, any just lingering thoughts you have? Any off-the-cuff things you want to say?
That's a good question. The bettors have to... I think people who bet this game have to be pretty disappointed that the total only went to 35.
Yeah. More than the Patriots over, though. 28.5. That's disgusting. But anyway. Yeah.
But I don't think that over didn't hit. I think it was 17-3 or 20. No, maybe whatever.
It was a bad game.
But yeah, I think the bettors. I think that's the one underrated thing is people who bet the over with how the Bills kind of easily gave up 15, probably more points than they had when it got to 50. I don't remember I'll look at it in a second, but. That has to be a tough moment for those people.
No, very tough moment.
You are now the successful better of the group. So.
I guess I am. Yeah, I'm on a hot streak, and it all started when the Bills were 6-6. I decided to place a bet that they would win the AFC East. It's not like we paved the road either every week. I feel like we said the Dolphins were going to choke. They were going to drop a few of their last couple games, and let's just say they dropped more than you thought they would. So it ended up working in our favor, but we got the Dom 5 coming at you in a few minutes here. Before that, it's time to roll into some highlights, and we're gonna run through the Bills scoring highlights for you today. Talk about out of nowhere, improbable, off the helmet of one of the Dolphins' defensive linemen, Trent Sherfield, toe drags and secures the catch. Wait for it. Mike McDaniel's speechless. He can't fathom what just happened there. I couldn't either in that moment. That is such a play where that's going out of the end zone. That's an interception a percentage of the time. But Trent Sherfield makes a great play, drags the toes, and it's like. That's how it was drawn up. That's what I think at least now. So here we go. Second highlight. Deontay Hardy, the savior, the one who took the momentum from the Dolphins and brought it to the Buffalo sideline, takes it at the 5. Normally getting benched for doing that when you're getting taken down within your own 10-yard line. But nope, he breaks the tackle and he's alone going all the way. Some nice blocks from the special teams. And, hey, all 3 phases, like we like to say. All 3 phases contributed to this game. Second half, big-time win there. Deontay Hardy. I don't think the Bills would have won without that. I think that really got the momentum going in their favor. And, we like the all 3 phases here. We've been dogging on special teams a lot this season, saying they haven't been pulling their weight. They pulled their weight in this game. But finally, a tight end other than Dalton Kincaid catching a touchdown, even though he barely has any. Dawson Knox is back, and he's doing, he's doing his thing again. Dawson Drops was there for a little bit, had that wrist surgery. Definitely need a contract reconstruction there because we're paying him top tight end money. But he's back doing his thing, getting into the end zone. And we're going to show you the play that iced it all. Tua turned the ball over, shows his face on the final drive of the game. It looked like he was throwing to Taylor Rapp on that. Taylor Rapp gets the interception there. He is on the injury report now, so that is the downside of that, but makes the big play after the Bills don't convert on 4th and 1. Their toboggan snowplow going over the top did not work out the second time. But the Bills intercept, victory formation. They don't do what Jameis Winston did and go for a touchdown out of victory formation, but they ice the game. Dom, very successful game for the Bills. I mean, coming back the way they did, resilient game. What do you think?
Oh, I wanted to be noted that I looked up the over-under. It was 48, so.
Oh, wow.
They were 13 points under, but you got to think with the Bills, with the turnovers, the first interception, that was 3 points. The not scoring at the end of the first half, that was another 3 points. The fumble was another 3 points. That's easily 9 points. And then you can make the case that if Allen throws that quick out to Kincaid on that 4th and 2, that might be a touchdown drive potentially. I don't want to add that much, but there is definitely a pretty simple path for the over to hit, and it did not. So that's
just think multiple red zone scores taken away for the Bills. Yeah. James Cook drops one again. I mean, that's where the hands are coming into question there. We'll talk some about that, but I think it's time. Waiting all week for the
down 5.
Yeah, here we go.
Number 1. That's a wrap. Taylor Rapp, big play. Tua, for some reason, decided to throw in a double coverage to Chase Claypool.
No timeouts for them either, so he was in crunch time.
No timeouts. I mean, they had a minute and 20 left, so he kind of just forced that one in there. No Tyreek on the field.
Injury got to him.
Kind of would have just – I mean, no one was open if you look at the play from the other perspective, but I think if, Tua has to throw the ball with such anticipation that if the route's not run to quite the right depth of yards or if the safety, in this case, Rapp, breaks on it, it could get in trouble for him, and that's where trouble. That's where you get for not having I mean, that's where we as Bills fans are so spoiled for having Josh Allen's arm strength.
Yeah.
Because Josh, he could wait until he's after the break and just whip that thing. That's that was a 15-yard throw and then plus throwing to the sideline, so that's probably like a 35-yard throw.
Doubles it a little bit, yeah.
So it's a poor play by Tua, poor play by Claypool, probably not the greatest play call by McDaniel, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, that is a wrap. I mean, you're throwing to a modern-day Kelvin Benjamin, so I don't know what success you expected. So that's all I got to say on that. I mean, Chase Claypool versus Tyreek Hill. Tyreek was running that. He might have caught it because he threw it a little ahead of him, but he didn't account for how slow Chase Claypool actually is. So, Taylor Rapp, good play.
Number 2. The City Bills come through. Sherfield with the big touchdown reception. He also had a nice catch on another play. He also had a really good game. We talked about last week the interception from Josh is really a mistake by Sherfield, a poor route on the post route, allowing the corner to kind of not get completely baited by his post route and go back to the wheel route with Kincaid and intercept it.
How about that wheel route?
Yeah, this game, Sherfield did a great job of multiple plays of providing solid rub routes, kind of what Gabe Davis does. And this, I mean, if you look at the Dawson Knox replay, Trent Sherfield is the reason why that it's a touchdown, because he kind of picks his man forces Dawson Knox's man to go around the Dolphins defender guarding Sherfield, giving him Knox enough time to catch the ball and get his momentum for the end zone. So good play by Sherfield. Balin Spector had a good game at coming in for Dodson. Dane Jackson had a big pass breakup on 3rd down, coming in for the injured Rasul Douglas.
He did.
So Deontay Hardy with the punt return. Now see Rapp with the interception. So the silly Bills, the people that we've been hating on all year, come through in the biggest game of the year.
Yeah, and
to date.
Literally to date, the biggest game of the year, and they showed out. McDermott's philosophy of next man up mentality was no more present than this game. The stakes were the highest they've been. It was for the 2 seed for the AFC East. They showed up, showed out, did what they needed to do. I was a little nervous about Dane Jackson at first, I'm going to be honest with you. And then he got that pass interference. I'm like, no. We don't need them getting into scoring position. But, it ended up working out. And Dane Jackson, like you said, had that big pass breakup. And, everyone came through. Taylor Rapp iced the game. So, yeah, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more, truthfully. I'm speechless in a good way because it's just like, it's a happy week to be a Bills fan, right?
quite a pleasant week, I would say. More pleasant than being a Dolphins fan. I'll just say that.
I would agree with that. Yeah, they
hot
thought
ta-
it was their
hot
division the
take.
entire season, and then just to get it yanked away in the last game is like,
If not now, then when for them. But it's tough to say. But number 3, please, sir. Terran All-Pro. So the players All-Pro came out this week. Well, I shouldn't say this week. Yet today, the NFLPA. No Bills were on the All-Pro team. They did not have, for a reason they didn't have slot. It was weird. They didn't have slot corner for the PA, but they had nose tackle. So I don't know why they decided to make like this specific position for the defensive line and not for the cornerback, slot corner position. I thought that was a little bizarre. They do fullback too, so it's like no one runs a fullback really. I mean,
Bills with Reggie Gilliam sometimes.
Yeah, but it's not like
a normalcy.
The Shanahan, I guess, but like I just think that was kind of bizarre that there was only 2 wide receivers, so it's just kind of a weird All-Pro team, to be honest. I don't know why they did it that way, but no Bills were on it, but I think there is a very good chance that we see Taron Johnson make one of the, obviously this year being the first year that they are doing slot corner as its own position, which is good because I think it's ridiculous that they kept doing, putting them all together with the boundary corners. It's the same thing with, they'll never do this because now in this day and age of the NFL where players move around so much, remember when Cole Beasley, I believe, was second team All-Pro one year because he got one vote for an All-Pro team. Because the voter was like, I picked Cole Beasley not because I think he's the 3rd best receiver in the league, is because I think he's the best slot receiver in the league, and that's who I would want as my 3rd wide receiver on my team. Right. Now they'll never do it own position of slot wide receiver because CeeDee Lamb operates out of the slot now. St. Brown, we see Diggs have like it's not like
you can't box one.
You can't box
position.
one position with the player, which is kind of unfortunate.
Right.
But with slot corner you can because there's just people that are just slot corners. Kenny Moore, Taron Johnson. There's a lot of really good slot corners in the NFL, and I think Brian Branch, who's the rookie out of Alabama, who is one of the best rookie corners out of Detroit.
Yeah.
So I think Taron's going to be the first team All-Pro slot corner. That's fine. I mean,
that'd be awesome.
You see what he does this dude is a 194 defensive back who is basically playing DB and linebacker all at once.
Yeah, I mean, he hits hard too. When he comes in and makes these tackles and makes these hits, I mean, he's out there playing his heart out and he's playing well. When he goes down, it's an inexcusable loss for the Bills. So he's very deserving of it. Yeah, very deserving of the All-Pro nomination.
Yeah, and just briefly saying, any other Bills making All-Pros, I don't really know. I think it's kind of a weird year. I think Ed Oliver had an All-Pro caliber year, but defensive again, every time with any of the defensive line, there's only 4 edge rushers, only 4 interior defense linemen, and that gets kind of jam-packed quickly. Bernard had a good year, but also kind of a little bit of linebacker. It takes maybe a year or two to kind of get that recognition. Again, I already said Terran's probably going to get at least one of the first team or second team. I think he should be first team.
Yeah.
James Cook might get some votes, but his inability to if he had 4 more touchdowns or 3,
right,
dropped the Dallas one, Eagles won this one. So if he had 3 more receiving touchdowns, maybe
he might be in the conversation.
Yeah. Dion. I've seen some people vote Dion for second team, but I don't think he's going to get enough of the vote. Diggs may get a vote or 2. The only one, if I was going to bet money on the Bills, I would say there's Josh Allen and Taron Johnson will be the All-Pros. I think Taron's first team. I think Josh is going to be second team. The only competition for Josh is if Dak's going to be second team. Because, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Producer will be mad for me saying it, but Lamar is going to win the MVP. And if you win the MVP, you're going to be first team All-Pro.
No, so, I agree. I think Lamar is the clear MVP candidate at this point. I don't
know if it's clear as a biased Bills perspective. I would like to see
Bills perspective. But if you're looking in general, I think
he's not even that biased because you know what? Who was my preseason MVP pick?
Lamar Jackson. You know what though? It doesn't matter because
I'm a winner either way.
Allen will be an MVP. He'll be a Super Bowl MVP, not a league MVP.
That was good. That was
I think it works out in its own way.
But,
so
yeah, I think Josh will make second team because it seems to me, from a lot of the voters' perspective, it seems like he's getting voted a lot for second place in the MVP, and that, I mean, it's pretty good to show that he's going to be second team All Pro.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, I guess it could be shocking. But going to number 4, please. Thank you. The Josh Allen, talking about Josh Allen. The Josh Allen experience makes me nauseous. It's just there's a reason why the Bills broke the record for being on primetime 7 times, and the reason why the Bills are on primetime is not because yes, Bills fans watch the games or any of that.
Right. Buffalo's a smaller market too, though.
They don't care about that.
Yeah.
They care that Josh Allen is the most pulverizing quarterback player in the National Football League. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because you could spin that game at any part of that game, you could have said, "Oh my God, he's awful," or "Oh my God, he's a savior."
Right.
Like
that's one thing I have consistently seen. He made those "Oh my God, how can you do that" plays, and those "Oh my God, how can he do that?" You know,
well,
it was
what
like
does he
you
do?
had both ways
What
of
does
it.
he do?
Wins games.
Wins games, and second thing, he gets eyeballs to the screens.
He does.
I mean, honestly, like I think that's the thing. If it's like, again, I'm just gonna come from my biased perspective. Is the reason why I think like of him and Mahomes, like sometimes like Mahomes is like so universally great.
Mm-hmm.
That
he doesn't
like
have a lot of these crazy moments.
that like no, he has like a lot of crazy
Moments, but not
he
like
has a lot of
bad crazy moments.
Crazy moments when no one goes and like tries to like I'm gonna watch this game out. Every time Josh Allen makes a mistake, I'm gonna tweet like, "Oh my God, he sucks."
Mm-hmm.
No one does that with Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously, a few people probably do that, but like, if Josh Allen, it feels like a lot of people do that, and it just, I mean, even as Bills fans, it's just completely nauseous.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
The first pick, just a wildly bad play.
Mm-hmm.
The end of half. Listen, some people are saying, "Oh my God, it was a great play by the linebacker." I'm not gonna lie. When Ty Johnson caught that ball, I thought for sure he was gonna score. Great play by the linebacker. Also,
Baker, he came down and closed quick. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also, just you can never, even if he would have scored, it's the definition of bad process leads to good result. Like that was bad process, regardless of what happened.
Yeah,
good or bad that play, and it ended up being bad.
The Dolphins basically gifted you that field position too. They played prevent and let Allen.
Yeah, that
run
was
it quick.
bizarre.
Like
I don't know what they were doing there. But, that the fumble was bad, and the cartoonist second interception. Now, granted, he just had to whip it because he wasn't going to get the first down. If it was like at that point, so that interception is kind of whatever. I mean, I think people
effectively though it helped your field position.
But what made me laugh about that point though is like if Josh was under pressure there and just like chucked that in the dirt, I don't think people would have complained that much. But since it actually ended up in an interception, I still complain about because I thought the play was designed for Kincaid and he was open and should have given his playmaker a chance to get the 2 yards. But yeah, it's just a nauseous experience. But at the end of the day, 3rd and 13, who makes the play? You know, Josh. You know, who makes the big throw to Stephon Diggs down the sideline? I know he missed him for a 90-yard touchdown, which is just
nauseous again. That's nausea inducing.
But when they needed to do him, as Diggs said, put the effing dagger in them, and Josh put the dagger in them.
He did. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, you know what's coming. Final 2 minutes of the first half, he started running the ball, really running the ball. Then you get downward, and then that play to Ty Johnson happens. Also, he was evaluated for a head injury after that.
Yeah, concussion.
Yeah, he's concussion. So that was head-to-head. But anyway, Allen is the best of the best, but also could have not as bad, but like he could be half Peterman, half Mahomes. You know what I mean? Like that second pick though, I'm gonna be the proponent that it wasn't that bad because it set them up on the 20-yard line.
I mean, the play was still awful.
You know what I mean? It was awful, but you were on the 40-yard line or 30.
I mean, the play was still awful because
Kincaid was open.
The play design, I believe, worked. I mean, we'll never know because he didn't throw the ball.
Right.
And also, at that point, he should have just ran for the first time. It's 4th and 2.
He was right there. Yeah, that was also.
And then whatever. So the heave was whatever.
Yeah, you see everyone saying this game was a microcosm for Josh Allen's season. First half was the Jets game, right? That was the start. And then you get to the running the ball. They unlocked him a little bit, and then he's scoring like crazy at the end, doing Superman, putting the cape on. So the Josh Allen experience, like you said, it is Cedar Point roller coaster material.
Do I have to say congratulations to Josh for leading the NFL in total touchdowns and total yards.
Yep,
and officially having the record, having share of the record for the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in a single season with Jalen Hurts 15.
There we go.
So congrats to him.
Little golf clap for the lad. There we go.
Golf clap to the lad. And as we go to number 5, please. The fish have been squished. Now, my father did want to say that dolphins are mammals, so it's technically scramble the mammal.
Oh God.
Listen, scramble the mammal is.
It doesn't have the ring.
I can't think of the right word. Is it biologically correct or whatever?
Yeah, it's biologically correct and anatomically.
I don't.
Yeah,
I don't know. But squish the fish is just a significantly better phrase. So I mean, as one would say, sucks do suck. But the Dolphins have been defeated by the Bills. Josh 11 of the last 12. The dub. I think a lot of credit. It's always weird to me. Josh gets a lot of credit, and rightfully so, because he's a goddamn beast against the Dolphins.
He is. He owns them. He's got an ownership
He
tag.
literally does own them. But, like, Sean McDermott owns the Dolphins, too.
He does, very much so.
Because the year that, in 2017, they swept the Dolphins without Josh Allen.
With Tyrod Taylor.
Made the play. Hey, they
made the playoffs.
Made the playoffs
with Tyrod
the
Taylor.
Last game. So, like, Sean McDermott is also... I think... Josh Allen's a majority owner, but I think, Coach McDermott gets a minority share of it.
Yeah, he's a stockholder. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I would agree with that. I mean, Josh is now 11-2 because obviously his first appearance they lost, but McDermott's 13-2.
Right. Yeah, first appearance lost in the heat stroke game. So
the heat stroke game and the Charles Clay can't catch a ball to save his life because he's a freaking bum.
First tight end jersey I ever bought was Charles Clay. One of the worst purchases
You bought another tight end jersey?
No. Like way back when.
Oh.
Like when we were in high school, I had a Charles Clay jersey, a white one. And now I have a white Dawson Knox. So we've upgraded, but also we're downgrading right now. But,
sure. Yeah, not the best head in the roster. Still.
No.
But with that being said, with the McDermott thing, I think he also has to get a lot of his flowers for squishing the fish, because he ate Mike McDaniel lunch all second half play. That's what I love but that's why I think the Dolphins-Bills rivalry is so awesome.
It's amazing.
Because the fans have some respect but still hate each other. You have the old guard of Marino and Kelly, kind of the rivalry coming back. And then you have two good head coaches who both call plays against each other.
Yes.
It's a chess match. And Sean McDermott
on opposite sides of the ball as well. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And Sean McDermott absolutely dominated Mike McDaniel in the second half.
He did.
There's the longest drive for the Dolphins in the second half, I believe, was 4 plays.
And they were held to 7 rushing yards.
Yeah. They got shut down in the second half. Yeah. And this is why when you look at the stats, the Bills should have kicked the shit out of them, but they didn't.
They should have. Well, the Bills were actually playing 2 teams. It was themselves and the Dolphins.
Yeah, which they got to stop doing.
Yeah, they got to stop doing that. But you still won playing 2 teams, so I guess that's a testament in itself.
I guess credit to the Bills and discredit to the Dolphins because
they had it.
They had it.
They had the opportunity to tie it up or win it with a 2-pointer.
That doesn't matter with that. I mean, this game does not matter as much if Miami just doesn't lose at home to a Tennessee Titans team that sucks.
Yeah.
That just fired their head coach. And they blew that game. I think they were the first team when teams were 350-0, up 14 with 3 minutes to go or some stat like that. So the Dolphins have there's no one to point fingers at other than themselves.
Yeah,
so
no one to blame themselves.
Heck, they beat Dallas, so that was the one where everyone was like, if they go 11-6, they're probably going to lose to Baltimore, Dallas, and maybe Buffalo. That's how they get it, and then they didn't. They beat Dallas and
lost to Baltimore in horrific fashion.
And now they get the great pleasure of going to Arrowhead in Blizzard.
Yeah. And that's right. 0 degrees. Mike McDaniel, you better wear your "I wish it were colder" shirt. That's all I have to say it's too cold because. Man, that's gonna be interesting. These wild card games are gonna be very interesting, and we'll talk about that coming up on our betting on the Bills segment on Friday. But good Bills win, good win.
Should we hit question of the day, sir?
I think we should. I think it's time. Actually, wait, one question before the question of the day. You were on the Fire McDermott train a couple weeks back, okay?
So were you?
I was. I'm gonna half answer this with you. What are your feelings now after clinching the 2 seed and a 4th straight title with him? And if they go to the AFC Championship this year, I'm picking them to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not doubting it. I'm saying as a baseline AFC Championship, how do your feelings change at all? I just have to ask.
I mean, they've already changed. I don't think he's gonna get fired. I never thought.
We didn't think he was gonna get fired. But is your opinion on him changed from what it was? You know what I mean?
Sure. I think at the time they were 5-5 when I first said it.
Yeah.
And they were 6-6.
And we were steaming hot at that point.
Yeah, and then they were 6-6 for all that weird They just blew a game because the McDermott's defense blew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my opinion's changed. I think what this defense has done the last 5 weeks has been kind of miraculous, and it shows that, you look at it from like Philadelphia's perspective. Philadelphia's perspective is that they're losing, they're falling flat, and their head coach is not calling anything. Like their head coach is just coaching the game.
Right.
Right. Sean McDermott is at least now that they've gone this run, it's really mostly because of his defense. Now I think Joe Brady has getting the vibes back in the offense. I think Allen is playing not statistically better, but I just think
his
eye test wise, it's a little bit.
Yeah, everyone seems to be rallied up
more
now.
of the Wolverine,
Yeah.
But make no mistake, the reason why the Bills have won 5 straight is because of his defense, and it's directly correlated with
the head coach, who's also the defensive
the head
coordinator.
coach, who's Sean McDermott, who is calling the plays.
Yes. No, I 100% agree with you.
And that's why I am. There's no like if they were still struggling defensively, you'd be like, okay, like what the heck?
Yeah, what are we doing? Yeah.
But
no, he made a defense that was called string bean.
They just made Balin Spector and Dane Jackson
look great.
I mean, he's made quality adjustments. He's used 3 safeties.
He's using Jordan Poyer as a linebacker.
Yeah,
since Milano's been out.
I think they've been able to withstand losing significant pieces of that defense, and now they're playing at probably their highest level of the entire season. So credit them. So no, I don't. If they knock on wood, if they lose in the wild card, I think I'd be back down to a 5.
Like maybe
like right now I'm at like a 3. I would go back up to like a 5 right now if they lose this week.
Absolutely.
If they get to the AFC Championship game, I'm just gonna stay at a 3.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
If they win the Super Bowl, I'm at a -100.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with you. It's truthfully, as soon as the big defensive starters went down, you thought it was done for. You didn't think they were going to be able to handle it, and the next man up mentality. How well is that going to continue to work? It has, because of the coaching of Sean McDermott. So I'm with you on that. I'm down. If they lose in the wild card, I'll go back up a little bit. But Super Bowl, no more questions for me. So
I'll say this: it is very reminiscent of the 2021 season.
That's what we were talking about.
But it is almost like really scary how much it truly is.
Yeah,
if you look back,
you lose that overtime game.
No, but look at it from this perspective. Week 1, Bills lose to the Steelers.
We were all at that game.
We lost to the Jets. Then the Bills go on a heater, win 4 straight, lose to Kansas City. The Bills go on a heater, win 3 straight. They only did win 4 straight, but they win a significant game against Miami.
Yes.
Kind of a significant moment. Next week, who do they play? The Titans on Monday Night Football. They lose. Who do we play this year? The AFC South Division winner that we had to play. We lose.
Yep. In London.
In London. It's
horrifically reminiscent, because then you
so
go to
weird.
Overtime with the Eagles like you did the Bucks.
And then you have
then
after that you have a win against the Dolphins, which is kind of like, all right, like whatever. That was kind of a competitive game for a team that has 1-7. What happens next to the Bills? They play a competitive game, kind of a whatever win. Go to 4-2. Who do they play next week? Oh, I don't know. The Jacksonville Jaguars in Urban Meyer. Who do they lose to? Jacksonville.
Jaguars.
Who do they play next? The New England Patriots,
and we lose
who
to
are
them.
awful. A terrible loss.
One of their 2 wins at the time was against Buffalo.
And then
Horrible.
who do the Bills play next? The Bucks. Kind of an uninspired win. And then they kick the crap out of the Jets. But whatever. And then the overtime against the Bucks.
Yep.
The overtime against the Eagles.
And then you go on the heater.
Where they have to win against the division rival to win the division.
Multiple. Well, technically, you have to beat the Patriots to win.
Well, they had to beat the Patriots in 21. They had to beat the Dolphins in 23. So, yeah, it is kind of...
it's very, very reminiscent, except I think the end result changes this year. So.
God hope so, man. Because I'm just saying right now, it's looking pretty likely that we're playing the same team we played that year in the divisional round. I know it's going to be in Buffalo, not in Kansas City, but...
First time in Buffalo with the full Mafia presence back there. So this is going to be big. It'll be big. Because they came in 2020 COVID year, but no one was here.
It was the Giants game. I was blanking on who they beat to go to 4-2, the Bills for this year. I knew it was the NFC team. I couldn't remember who it was. All right.
Yeah.
Question of the day.
Yes.
Sorry, as we went to
No, that was my bad. I just had to get your opinion on McDermott, but here we go. Will the Bills play down to the competition in the playoffs? That is the kryptonite of the Bills. Superman always has a kryptonite, and it is we're going to play like garbage against garbage teams. And the Steelers kind of have that facade of, do they deserve to be there?
Being incredibly mediocre.
Yes.
I think it comes down to really two interesting stats. One is the Bills against non-playoff teams are 6-5.
Mm-hmm.
Against playoff teams, they're 5-1.
Yeah.
So they beat the Bucks, they beat the Chiefs, they beat the Dolphins, twice, and the Cowboys.
Yeah.
14's 5 wins, and the only loss was the overtime loss, to Philadelphia.
Who's falling on their face?
And then they won 6-5.
Mm-hmm.
So in that perspective, you would answer that question, no, because this is playoff time. The Bills have competed well against playoff teams, and also they kicked the crap out of the Steelers last time they played in the regular season a year ago.
Yes, they did. And
but the Steelers did kick the crap out of them in the preseason this year, so who knows?
Yeah, preseason. Yeah. God.
The second fact that scares you though is that the 2 seed against the 7 seed since they started this in 2020 is 6-0.
It'd be really Billsy to make that 6-1.
But they are 4-2 against the spread.
Oh.
You know who the 2 games are that the 2 seed lost the spread to? Well,
I don't know if I can recall off the top.
Bills Colts and Bills Dolphins.
Oh God.
The Bills are 0-2 against the spread as the 2 seed. So in that perspective, you think maybe there's a chance. I think without going too far into the betting on the Bills, I think the loss of T.J. Watt is massive.
Did you see J.J. posted a picture of him? You think they'd notice?
Yeah. I think the loss of T.J. Watt is massive. The injuries to the Bills are a little concerning. I guess we'll talk about that more on Friday. But it's at home. Mason Rudolph, again, doesn't strike the fear of death to me. But this is a team that also went head to head with Skylar Thompson. So it's gonna be fascinating. I'm not gonna say my prediction, but I'm gonna say I'm leaning towards no. They aren't gonna play down the competition. I think they're gonna play a good game.
I think you have a model to look at here in how the Bills and Josh Allen perform in the playoffs at home. They've performed very well. If you don't remember, I think we were yelling "motor in" at the top of our lungs a couple years back because better performing Patriots team was coming back to Buffalo for the 3rd time in the season. They split the series, get their teeth kicked in 47-17, I believe, or something like that. The Bills at home, Josh is dialed in. He can't be playing that scared football. I don't think they play down to the Steelers. Mike Tomlin's defense is what keeps him in these games, though, so that'll be interesting to see. McDermott being the defensive head coach they're wrestling buddies back in high school, right, or something like that. They
went to the same college.
Went to the same college or something like that. So they know each other. I don't think they play down to the Steelers, though. I think the Steelers are playing a little too low. Mason Rudolph, you're waiting for that backup game where they just tank, like Jake Browning had that bad game. You're waiting for him to just poop. Like, just not be, you know what I mean? Like, you're just kind of, you're hanging around for that. So I don't think the Bills play down to him. I think they make a statement and say, we're the playoff Buffalo Bills. We are not the 6-6 Buffalo Bills, and we're here to play.
Yeah. And one more thing before we move on to the Sabres. I do think it's important to note that the Bills will know their opponent if they would win on Sunday at 1 o'clock. It's kind of a bizarre way they did it, but both AFC games are set. Both Saturday games are AFC games, and obviously the Bills have the first Sunday game. So it's kind of weird that the first three games of the 6 are all AFC, but I guess that's just how it goes.
It's nice for us, though, in retrospect, to kind of know what the vibes will be, where we end up if we win.
Sure.
So I think it's time, unfortunately, to move into the Sabres, who wonderfully had a 2-game winning streak, but then decided to let that slip away last night in a 5-2 loss against the Kraken. And, they had some of their better performances, right, against the Canadiens, the Penguins. You're like, okay, this team, 2024, we're undefeated. All we needed was the year change that got the vibes going. We're right back where we started. So what do you think, though? I mean, you were there last night. What are your thoughts? Seeing that in person.
It's just unfortunate because I think you look at the game and they had more chances. They were the quote-unquote better team. I think
they were the favorites going into the game, too, by a small margin.
I highly doubt that.
I was looking at the bets, and they were minus something.
I just highly doubt that because Seattle was now on a 7-game winning streak. So I don't know. Maybe that's true, but it's just frustrating. I'm not gonna say they dominated Seattle. Like, it was a close-ish game, but it definitely favored that the Sabres had more chances. And at the end of the day, Seattle got the saves, and the Sabres did not. And it was another poor performance from goaltending, poor performance from Levi, and yeah, let's unfortunately. I do have to say though, highlight of the game was we got the Mega Weck beef on Weck.
Oh God, from the new
Yeah,
concessions and all that.
and it was spectacular. Highly recommend. I don't know if my brother would say the same, but I will highly recommend. On to the Dom 3, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, the Sabres go streaking for 2 games. Second time all year that they've won 2 games in a row. We're going for that 3rd game in a row, and
Couldn't do it.
yeah, couldn't do it. So they're now 17-20-4. They are now officially halfway through the season, 41 games, and they have 38 points. So we are officially on a 76-point pace, which is, first off, it's god-awful. Second of all, I believe it's 17 points lower than last year. I think they finished with 93 points, if I'm not mistaken. 91?
91, I believe.
Okay. Well, whatever. They were a 90-point team last year. I think both you and I at least predicted. Actually, you and I both predicted they were going to make the playoffs, which, looking back at it.
But going into the season, how can you say anything else the way they ended last season? You know what I mean?
But in our somewhat defense, I'm gonna defend us a little bit here. We were both incredibly hesitant on that.
We were kind of backtracking a little bit. Like, not backtracking, but we didn't want to hard out say
we were both kind of
lock.
This seems wrong because the vibes just seemed like this season like they didn't do enough. But
yeah, well, they clearly didn't. So,
yeah, I mean, just awful. So they're 15 points lower than last year. I mean, this is still. I feel like this is a roster good enough to at least get to 85, 86 points. So even that's what I think is. I think that's the most frustrating part of the season is that they're not just underachieving the playoff spot. I think they're just underachieving the roster in general with their point total. I think that to me is like, okay, like I could harp on Kevin Adams all I want for the defensive moves are stupid, the goaltender moves are stupid, and you should add another forward. All those are still true. And I think those moves are the reason why they aren't going to make the playoffs. The fact of the matter is, this team is completely underachieving, and at one point or another, you just gotta like say, man, like, why are they underachieving? It's like, oh, maybe it's because of the coach. I don't know. Maybe we should fire him.
Yeah, that's kind of the consensus now. We're getting the fire Donnie chants throughout KeyBank Center. It's at the end of the season. If they do not make the playoffs, I think you might be getting to that point.
The only person that can stay is the video coordinator because they're obviously good at their job because they went 3 for 3 on those challenges. But I mean, just like the fact that I think the most frustrating part is the fact of like they've made no changes to the coaching staff. Like
none, 0.
It is pretty clear that Matt Ellis, who was coaching the power play, is not very good at his job. Sorry.
Well, when your power play is not performing, I mean,
I think that's kind of a bold take. But seeing that we now have a calendar year of 28th in the National Hockey League, when you have Tage Thompson, Darlene, Tuck, like guys that are talented players, there's no excuse for them to be the bottom 5 of the National Hockey League. And again, power penalty is bad too. So I mean, I'm sorry, but both those things are system based, and the fact is that coaching has been awful because you look at it now. Now they're going back to that running gun.
They're trying to recapture last season.
year, and it's like, okay, like, so what you're saying is the first 30 games of the year, you guys tried to, like, reinvent the wheel and not play to your team's 100% strengths, and now that you're like, oh, wait,
that ain't working.
We suck, this isn't going to work, we just need to go back to last year, and it's like, okay, but last year kind of, like, that ceiling kind of capped a little bit. It's like, maybe you should have got guys that can play in the high end gun, but can also defend in space, or a goalie that can
actually
be not just average, but actually be like good.
Yeah, maybe not throw the entire franchise on a 21-year-old's shoulders. I mean, that would have been smart, right? Maybe get a veteran who's been in that position before. Can you imagine getting tossed into a professional sports franchise and be like, "Hey, you're our guy. You're the one that's going to save us," and then just getting no defensive help at all? I'm sorry. I know Levi hasn't had the best performances, right? He's had some rough ones. He's average. He's had some good ones and some bad ones. I don't put it all on him because he's got no defensive help and he's coming straight from college.
No, he's just not good enough right now. No. Also, if that did happen to me, Joe, I would just pull a Tommy DeVito and go right into my Italian heritage and try and get as much endorsements as possible because I know I suck at hockey.
Start throwing the Tommy cutlets
Yeah.
up. Yeah. Go to the local pizza shops and start asking 20 grand.
Pizza Planet.
Yeah, Pizza Plant. Pizza Planet's from Toy Story.
I know, but
I do want to say the Sabres opened up at 1.5-point favorites over the Kraken yesterday, though. They did.
Yeah, you would be dumb not to take Seattle plus 1.5, but that's just me.
Yeah, well, Vegas was trying to make you do that by doing that.
And
so.
wow,
look at that. Yeah, I didn't touch that, but I did see that.
Yeah, I'm the number 2. The Ryan Johnson plan's confusing. See, this is what I was concerned about going into the year. Like we stated this going into the year. Ryan Johnson is probably good enough to be your 4th or 5th best defenseman right now.
Would you say he's NHL ready?
I would. Thank you.
Yeah. Maybe that's like redundant at this point.
But the problem is this. The general manager thought it was a good idea to sign 2 bottom pairing defensemen and EJ and Clifton.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is now you kind of have your 6, but Ryan Johnson deserves to be in your 6 because he's one of your best 6. But then the coach doesn't have the heart to just scratch one of those free agents. And all of a sudden, now you have the situation where Ryan Johnson is just standing in a press box, going down during the intermissions, getting some cotton candy, maybe getting that star-shaped cotton candy.
Or buying overpriced churros. I don't know.
Or overpriced churros, or milkshake, or the mega beef on whack.
Or the hot dog of the day.
Instead of playing hockey, which is like, okay, here's the plan. Either the Sabres need to wise up and be like, we want to play our best team, and our best team involves Ryan Johnson, which is also good for his development because he's playing in the NHL.
And that would help your defensive side.
But good for his this is the scenarios that need to happen. Either you need to play Ryan Johnson in the NHL, which is good for your team because he's one of your better defensemen, and good for his development because he's playing hockey, and he's playing at the highest level, so good for his development. Or 2, you need to send him down, call up Jacob Bryson. Because Jacob Bryson could be going to eat some beef on whack. He could go eat some cotton candy. Like,
you're right. Ryan Johnson should be getting playing time anywhere.
There's 3 scenarios that they could choose from right now. Three plans. This is their plan. Plan 1. Play Ryan Johnson in the NHL. Good for team, good for development. That seems like number 1.
It does.
Plan 2. Send Ryan Johnson down for the DHL. Not good for the team, but good for development. Okay, whatever. Not a great option, but, a decent.
Okay.
Plan 3, the Don Granato plan. Scratch Ryan Johnson. Don't let him get any, consecutive weeks played. Just maybe 1 game here or there. EJ wanted to try out the new hot dog of the day. He'll take a dive. That is bad for the team and bad for development. Which one of those 3 options are the Sabres currently employing? I'll give you a hint. It's not the good one.
No, it's not. And it's the more you say, the more I want to get my pitchfork and torch and walk over to KeyBank and be like, get him out of here, get Granato out. It's just, again, I'm gonna be honest. You had me lost with the hot dog stuff. You had me going, but it's so ridiculous to me that this team is not being run properly. And 30 games in, not 10, not 15, you're deciding, hey, let's forget it and let's go back to the high flying offense here. But then that didn't even get you into the playoffs. You don't have another game plan? You don't have anything else? Nothing up your sleeve?
And it just feels like the weight of expectations has killed this team. And it's kind of
the 50-50s are back down to $3,000 max. There's no one there on a Tuesday night.
And where is the adult in the room? The fact is, the Sabres just don't have an adult in the room. It's embarrassing. And
would you rather have the soccer coach or Don Granato at this point?
I'd rather have Don, but it's like, god dang, man, like, what the heck?
Yeah,
I get someone that can maximize. I don't need a nice dude. I don't need a nice guy as my coach.
No.
I give me an asshole. I don't care. Give me a guy though that is
give
going
you the
to,
Mike McDaniel of the NHL.
Give me a guy that is going to not Mike McDaniel. Give me like a Bill Belichick. Give me a guy. Sean Payton, sure, a dude that's kind of a jerk, kind of a egotistic, narcissist, whatever. But he's going to maximize the players on the roster. They just don't have that guy.
Yeah, no, they don't. They have a friend instead of a coach in a lot of cases. I feel like that's kind of what we're looking at, and it's tough. I mean, it's tough. There's nothing. No,
On to number 3. This is the real star. This is another thing. The star players have not been the star players the entire year, and I think this has been just an absolute brutal season for Rasmus Dahlin.
It has. After that contract signing, it's brutal.
And someone's going to look at the stats and be like, oh, what are you talking about? He has 12 goals, 32 points in 40 games. Like, that's, what, a .75? So that's, I can't do math off the top of my head, but that's, what, 60 points?
Yeah, I'm not going to try it. I don't do math in public. I don't trust myself.
The amount of empty net goals he has, just ridiculous. I mean, Middlestat, 35 points in 41 games. Middlestat deserved to be the all-star. He's been the best player on the team.
Absolutely. Middlestat mode. That's been flying around Sabres Twitter, Sabres everything. Middlestat mode. It's just time.
It's just not good enough. Dahlin has not been good enough on either end of the ice.
Nope.
He's played awful on the power play. Just simply not good enough from Dahlin, and I just think he got it because he's the most well-known Sabre and not really the most deserving Sabre.
No, he's not. Truthfully,
I don't have anything else to say on that other than
I don't either, because what you said is 100% accurate, and I don't want to be redundant here.
And you know what? As a guy, we're both in the same boat here. Not the biggest weren't the biggest Casey Middlestat fans. It's pretty easy to say that he's been the best Sabre.
It's if you have 2 eyes or 1 eye or whatever you've got going on. If you're listening out there, sorry, I don't want to exclude anybody. If you have an eye, you can see Casey Middlestat has been the best player on the Sabres.
Another thing, though, that may be coaching. I'm not too sure, but maybe coaching.
Okay.
Is Dylan Cousins regressed, or has he played better this year?
I don't know. He's got to put the bubble back on his face. I think we got to get.
He's regressed.
Yeah.
100%. Owen Power?
100%.
Probably not worth the $8 million they paid him.
Nope.
Rasmus Dahlin, definitely not worth the $11 million they paid him.
Tage? He's not doing as well.
He's not doing as well.
Tuck? Not doing as well.
If it was 1 or 2 players, sure, whatever. That happens every year.
They have a slump. It's fine.
Every year, whatever. You could just say, oh, Tage has his injuries. Like, Tuck's been a little bit banged up, whatever. Dog, it's like half the roster.
It is.
Half the roster's regressed.
Like you said, it's all of your all-star players. All of your all-star players that were showing out last season.
Not the all-star players, your core.
Yes. Your best players.
Middlestat and JJ Peterka aren't really a part of the quote-unquote core. Like, they're not signed. Like, Middlestat is a free agent. RFA.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. JJ Peterka, not signed long-term. Jack Quinn, not signed long-term. Like, the dudes that you have paid, Tage Thompson, $7 million. Dylan Cousins, $7 million. Rasmus Dahlin, $11 million. Owen Power, $8 million. All 4 of those guys have not played well.
Nope.
And I'm sorry. Again, maybe one of them, every year one of them probably aren't going to play the best. They've all regressed. And even someone like Krebs hasn't taken it. When is Payne Krebs ever going to take the next step? Probably never. I'm sorry, but, like, the only people you could say is, like, Yogi always had a solid season. JJ and Quinn look good. Middlestat's looked good. Samuelson looks like that's, like, the worst contract ever signed.
Yeah.
It looks like they're going to have to attach a pit to get out of that. I mean, the 2 free agents look awful.
Yeah.
The goalies are weird. Like, this team is awful. And it's because, like, all their players have regressed. They don't have a coach that puts them in the best positions. They get killed on special teams.
And you didn't do enough in the offseason to set your team up with the GM.
It's ridiculous. And it's a ridiculous, unserious organization that is okay with this, and the fans should not be, and they aren't. And
I think it's up for sale.
I don't think it's up for sale. I just think if Don Granato is the coach by game 82, mistakes were made.
Yeah?
He should not be the coach for game 42, which is coming up. He should be gone.
Yeah, if they don't, listen, their homestand here, right? Senators, Canucks,
Go to the question
Sharks,
of the day, by the way.
Blackhawks, yes. Oh, yeah, duh, that was the question of the day. How will they fare? Senators, Canucks, Sharks, Blackhawks, Lightning, and then you're back on the road. You have to win these games. You have to win these games. Do I think they will? No, I don't think they will, because there are easy games on here, like the Canucks. You have to win that game. You've got the Senator. What?
Can I make a prediction?
Go ahead. What? You're actually making a prediction? I thought you were steering away from that.
I'm making a prediction right now. I'm not making a prediction about the games right now.
Oh, okay. I thought I was getting excited for a minute.
My dad is the biggest Jake Ottinger fan.
Okay.
We have tickets to the Dallas February 6th game.
Mm-hmm.
They have this homestand, as you said. They already lost to Seattle. They play Ottawa, Vancouver, San Jose, Chicago, Dallas, and they're at Anaheim, Los Angeles, San Jose, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the All-Star break. So from January 27th to February 6th, they don't have a game. I'm going to make a prediction right now that Don Granado gets fired during that week, and I'm in the building for the first interim. Well, either the interim coach or that they hire someone.
Think they bring up the Americans coach?
I don't know, but I'm going to make the prediction right now that Dallas Stars game is the first game that Don Granado. I'm going to stamp it down.
I like it.
Don Granado
I like
is not
it.
head coach of the Bills.
You know,
I'm in the Sabres. God dang, I haven't done that in months.
No, I'll piggyback on that.
So I'm not going to answer the question of the day. I don't care about the homestand. They're probably, 4 games?
Do you honestly? Here's my question for you now. Okay, knowing that
5 games, excuse me. They're going to go 2-3. They're going to go under 500.
Okay, I agree with you. I don't think they're going to fare well. With this, though, with your prediction of February 6th, the new interim coach being in the building, coaching the team, do you almost not do you want Granado gone?
Yes.
Yeah. So do you not want them to do well in the homestand, or where
I
you're?
don't care what. I think they go 5-0. I mean, okay, if they go 5-0, I'm probably not gonna say they should get fired on 6. But
no,
if they do crappy, absolutely, you should be fired.
Okay.
If they do mediocre, you should be fired.
Yeah. If they go sub 500,
they're not playing good teams.
No.
I mean, heck, they aren't a good team. So what am I saying? But
it's a not good team playing a not good team, so that's a good matchup.
I'm just saying,
but
Dallas, Jake Onger net against. I don't know who the coach would be. I'm not making that prediction. I can't see that far in the future.
Maybe when Granado was sick, they did try out the Amherst coach. Maybe it wasn't sick.
I'm saying
stay home for the
they're
day.
1-1 to South Abbott, and they're 16-19-4 of Don Granado. I'm just saying.
Listen, and the Amherst make playoff runs. The Sabres don't. So maybe that's the way to go. I don't know.
Yeah, and who's developed Jack Quinn, JJ Paterka, and
questions need to be answered. This team, we said the questions were answered a few weeks ago.
What player looked pretty good play for him? Pain Krebs went to the NHL.
Right.
I'm just kidding about that one, but
yeah, Krebs, whatever. But
it's frustrating, and when will it end?
I would say it's rather disgusting. That's where I'm going to leave it. I just don't like it. I don't feel a need to tune into these games. I don't feel a need to pay attention. I have to bet on them to even keep a thought of caring about it. That's where I'm at this point with this team. And last season, how exciting was it to watch them, right? Because you saw them getting better. You saw that offense that didn't get them to the playoffs, but you're like, okay, these guys can play. Nope, everyone took a step backwards. The whole team took a step backwards. The goaltending is not even close to where it was. Craig Anderson at least gave you some consistency, even though he was still not great. He was old. It's just a dumpster fire. It's a dumpster fire in Buffalo.
I also have to say, I think it would be a good move for the Bills. Gosh darn it. The Sabres to fire Granado during that week of the All-Star break because people will be focusing on the All-Star break, and the Bills would have just won the AFC. So they would have 2 weeks to the Super Bowl. So no one would care about, the Sabres fired their coach. Who cares? We're on cloud 9. We're going to the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah.
There's another.
There you go.
The evidence is pouring in right now.
Yes, it all
overwhelming.
I love it when a plan comes together, and we're going to see that come together in a few weeks. But any lingering thoughts before we close out here on this dire segment?
No.
Yeah, I think we're done with the Sabres here. Go Bills, and we hope and pray. We'll talk to you on Friday for betting on the Bills. But without further ado, that's going to do it for this edition of the Buffalonian Podcast. I'm Joe Kelly. As always, I'm joined by Dom Moss. Thank you to Mooch, our producer, for everything you do. The Sabres just literally killed my mood, but it's okay. Dom, how do we always end these, buddy?
Go Bills, baby.
Go Bills.